Good afternoon and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
I do just want to say that for those of you, I see some folks standing in the back, there is overflow seating in the courtroom downstairs, and someone who's out there can direct you down there in that direction if you would like to sit down in the courtroom. But for those of you that are here and for those of you in the courtroom, if you're able, I would ask you to please rise as the Brighton Police Department Color Guard posts the color guard. Color Guard, post colors.
Ready? Go.
I,
Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you to our Brighton Police Department Color Guard. Let me first acknowledge that the town of Brighton, this town hall facility, is situated on the ancestral and traditional lands of the Onondaga tribe of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, whom we recognize and respect as the traditional custodians of this land throughout the generations. We pay our respects to the Onondaga elders, both past and present. The history, the culture, and the traditions of the Onondaga are worthy of our understanding and study, and we praise those who keep their traditions alive. We recognize that that study is of ongoing importance if we are to truly understand the history of this community and our nation. And we support all efforts to ensure that we and future generations continue that study and that respect in a way that is both honest and truthful, so that in the words of Sakajawatha, the great orator, who was also known as Red Jacket, we may always work together to brighten the chain of friendship among peoples. It's a great honor to be here today, to be able to preside over a ceremony such as this, where two new community leaders will be sworn into office for the first time, along with three of us that are being sworn in again. It is truly remarkable, I'm in awe, that we have hundreds of people here today, not only filling this room, but our not one courtroom, but two courtrooms downstairs, including our new Judge Vic Vilcu's courtroom. It is extraordinary, and I want to thank you all that are here, and also thank everyone who is streaming today live. It's also important to note that, as we do at every town board meeting and at significant events, we have ASL interpreters here today, Jim Orr and Paul Holmes. Thank you both very much. We appreciate you taking the time on New Year's Day to provide this service. There are many elected officials here today. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you for coming. I hope I don't miss anybody, but please accept my apologies if I do. We'll be hearing from some of them in just a moment, but I do want to first note County Executive Adam Bello, Senator absolutely. Senator Jeremy Cooney, I spoke with Congressman Morelli last night, and the bug is running around the Morelli household, so I'm not surprised that he couldn't make it, but he sends his regrets. Assembly members, Sarah Clark, Samra Brook, Assemblymember Damon Meeks. From the governor's office, we will hear in a moment from Supervisor. Supervisor, thank you for being here. We have County Legislator Sue Hughes Smith. I am especially pleased to welcome my new colleague, the supervisor, the new supervisor of the town of Irondequoit, Andre Evans. From the Brighton Town Board, but not being sworn in today because their terms continue, Council Member Robin Wilt, Council Member Christine Carrata, I know we have, and I'm very pleased, our Brighton Central School District Superintendent, Kevin McGowan, is with us. Thank you. And by the way, not just Brighton Central School Superintendent, New York School Superintendent of the Year. But wait, there's more, not just New York State Superintendent of the Year, National Superintendent of the Year. Congratulations, Kevin. There's a number of judges that are here. I know some that are here that I didn't have on my list, some that aren't here. So I apologize. I'm not going to try to name you all, but thank you for being here. We also have a gentleman who wore a lot of hats in his time. Former county legislator, former state senator, former judge, Rick Dollinger is with us. And I'm going to start by asking Assembly Member Sarah Clark to say a few words.
You can always count on Damon to make sure the round of applause begins. Thank you so much, Supervisor Maley, and to all of you, to all my elected colleagues, to the town of Brighton for showing up, for Vic knowing everyone in the world. It is my honor to be here today on New Year's Day, which, for so many symbolizes a new moment, a new opportunity, new time to see what's ahead and see what problems we can solve and what challenges we can face and what we can do as a community. I am not at the star of the show. Our stars of the show are all up here, and it is not often that we get two new people in that we get to celebrate, so today it is really exciting to celebrate a new judge in the town of Brighton and a new town board member in the town of Brighton, who will both add town government, often nonpartisan, really focused on community, really focused on, it's sort of where the rubber hits the road, as we always talk about. It's the moment of government where people most see it, most use it, most understand it, most know it affects them. It is where I started in the city of Rochester, and it is really wonderful to have young people who want to run and serve and talk about zoning and all the fun things, parklands and libraries, and to have a new judge who brings what I love about Brighton. You know, it's been my honor to represent it in the state legislature, but it is an electorate that is caring, an electorate that is inclusive, equitable, equal, that cares about conversation, that is engaged in its process of electing people more so than most communities I know of. And it becomes a place where you get to elect somebody who is first generation, who brings a wealth of experience and background that is different, that is new, and that is going to serve a community in a new way. And you can see it here as we celebrate to have Vic. Having gotten to meet him, I know most of you here know him because he is that kind of person. It was funny. We had a 15-minute, 30-minute coffee on the schedule. It was 2 hours. Everyone here knows what I'm talking about, right? The stories are endless, but they're meaningful, and he is just going to serve the town of Brighton so well, and we are just so lucky to have him and have him want to run and be a part of it. And Nate, who really gets state government, having been chief of staff to Assemblyman Meeks, is really great to have you as a new partner on the town board as we get to work to continue to make Brighton the wonderful place where people want to raise their family and live, work, play, whether it's transportation policy or playgrounds or parkland or clean energy. You just always know you have a friend here in Brighton, a friend of many, willing to really roll up their sleeves and get to work. So I'm just honored to be here today, to get to be a tiny little piece of this ceremony, and I'm excited for Dan and Christopher as we welcome you back to the hard work that we know you do, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. The hard work that you and your colleagues do as well. I'm appreciative of that. Okay. We will now start the actual swearings in, and I will start it out myself. And I will ask Barbara Maley to come forward along with Teresa and John Clemens, my daughter and son-in-law, and their 3 kids, Hannah,
Please repeat after me. I, William W. Maley,
I, William W. Maley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States
to uphold the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Supervisor of the Town of Brighton
the duties of the Supervisor of the Town of Brighton
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities. I started with my kids, Hannah, Clara, and Anthony. Thank you, Barbara, for swearing me in, but that's the least of things. For the love, the support that you show me in so many ways. Thank you so very, very much. To my colleagues in government, judges, and others who are here that live lives in public service, your presence in the arena, as President Teddy Roosevelt famously said so many years ago, means that you do spend yourselves in a worthy cause. Never forget that your respective communities, the communities you serve, are grateful for that service, your service that advances those worthy causes that you take so seriously. To our families and friends that are crowding this room and downstairs, we would not be here today without each of you. And I know I speak for all of my colleagues up front here in expressing our gratitude to you. I was first sworn in to this office 12 years ago. That day I spoke of my vision for Brighton as a community that would continue to value open government and open space. A community that would move forward in prioritizing a commitment to sustainability and diversity. We took those values and those commitments seriously, and we do today. Today, Brighton is the leader among towns, not just in Monroe County, but across upstate New York, in addressing each of these important core values. Brighton goes above and beyond what is required in terms of open government transparency. Whether it's our monthly committee meetings where important policy matters are discussed publicly with town staff, or a budget development process that, again, goes far beyond what is required by law. We take government in the sunshine seriously here in Brighton. We've continued to expand our open space and our trail system, a process that was begun by my predecessor, Supervisor Sandy Frankel. We have miles of new trails here in Brighton, including my favorite trail, yes, I walked it this morning, the Brickyard Trail, and the Auburn Trail, which was built at no cost to Brighton taxpayers, thanks to our use of incentive zoning to develop the Whole Foods Plaza. Incentive zoning is a zoning and land use methodology that not only ensures that new government will expand our tax base, but will also provide community amenities at low or no cost to our residents. We've acquired another 40+ acres of land near the corner of Winton and Westfall. So this community will be able to enjoy the 190 or so acres of Buckland Park forever. Our sustainability efforts are tangible and vitally important. We're a clean energy community, and we've already qualified for grants under that program. I'm looking at my good friend, County Legislator Sue Hughes Smith, who has been a paragon, a leader in advancing the cause of sustainability in Brighton and in the county. We expect larger grants to follow as we continue to meet objectives. We're also a climate-smart community. Both of these are New York State programs that recognize communities for their accomplishments in sustainability. In December, the Brighton Town Board approved the Brighton Climate Action Plan, which provides an inventory of greenhouse gas emissions, not only for town operations, but for the community as a whole. It lays the framework for our ongoing plan to reduce those emissions in order to protect Brighton's environment in the years to come. By the end of January, the Carmen Clark Lodge in the Brighton Town Park will be a net zero emissions building with a new air source heat pump HVAC system having been installed last month, and solar panels on the roof going up later this month. Both of those funded in large part with Clean Energy Community grants. In 2024, there's much more to come, including the start of a major sustainability project right here at Town Hall, funded with federal COVID relief grant money. Brighton is a place that so many people are proud to call home, in no small part because we do celebrate our broad diversity. We're the only town in upstate New York to have not only adopted a diversity plan, our IDEA plan, Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Action Plan, but we've also hired a Chief Diversity Officer, Miriam Moore, who's with us today. Thank you, Miriam. Miriam, Councilmember Wilt, and I were invited to present at the New York State Association of Towns annual meeting, a program on Brighton's diversity efforts this past February. And in the new year, our IDEA plan will be the roadmap for continued new efforts to benefit all members of our community. Today's the start of the new year. Listening to you and working in collaboration with community members and leaders, as well as officials at all levels of government, we will make it together a new year of accomplishment that will reinforce our pride in Brighton. Thank you so much. Next is the swearing in, again. Dan Amon was first sworn in with me that same day 12 years ago. He's been re-elected as town clerk. Dan wears many hats here at Town Hall. Not only do members of the public come to Dan's office for a variety of licenses and permits, marriage licenses, passports, dog licenses, you name it. But those of us that work here in Town Hall also know that if there's a sticky problem, you go down to Dan's office too. And if Dan doesn't know the answer, well, there probably isn't one, and we're going to work together to figure out what it should be. Dan, I'd like to call you forward. And I should have mentioned our two Brighton judges who will themselves be swearing in officials today, but I'm going to invite Judge John Falk.
Raise your right hand. I, Daniel Amon,
I, Daniel Amon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Town Clerk of the Town of Brighton
of the Town Clerk of the Town of Brighton
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
So those of you who know me know I'm not one for speeches. There's a lot going on today, and I don't want to take up a lot of time. I want to thank Senator Broke for being here, so that it slipped through. But I like the Assembly Senator Assembly lineup. It's not quite boy-girl, but you know, the same kind of idea. And I gotta just do real quick, thanks so much to Judge Falk for swearing me in. I realized I was getting dressed. I was wearing crimson and like a silverish color. And I realized with Judge Falk and his Michigan ties, that was woefully inappropriate. Especially with this afternoon with a different maroon team on the agenda. So I switched to maize and blue for you. So thank you. Thank everyone for being here. It's going to be a good day. Hopefully the start of great terms for Nate and Vic. I think they're going to do a lot of great stuff for those of us in town. And tax bills are in mailboxes. Collection starts tomorrow morning. If you really want, the drop box is out back. So thanks, everybody. See you.
You'll notice when I listed the many things Dan's office does, that was one that I conspicuously chose not to mention. But yes, it is that time of year. The first of our two new officials being sworn in today is Councilmember Nate Salzman. Nate has deep local government experience, not only because he's a son of Brighton, but because he works for County Executive Adam Bello. Nate has been attending meetings, meeting with our senior staff, meeting with community members, all so that he can hit the ground running on the town board, which starts, by the way, tomorrow morning. Nate will be sworn in just a moment by his wife, Samantha Parisi Salzman. But before Nate is sworn in, I'm pleased to again introduce someone who has served Brighton and the greater Rochester community for many decades in many capacities, as a member of the county legislature, as a state senator, and as a judge. Judge Richard Dollinger. Rick?
Thank you very much, Bill. Do I have to stand at the microphone if I use my big boy voice?
Yes, because the TV audience, no, this one.
Okay.
This one.
Before I make a quick comment about Nate Salzman, I want to remind everybody of one thing. It's called E pluribus unum. It's the motto of the United States. And it says, out of many, we are one. It may be the motto of our country. Bill Maley, this town board, and a generation of leaders here have made it a reality in the town of Brighton. It is not just our motto, it is who we are. And today, we welcome a new member to that community, my friend Nate Salzman. And Nate, my message for you is simple. You inherit a great legacy of Jewish contributors to the government of Brighton. Our mentor, Michael Miller, who started it all as a Democrat 40 years ago. Sandra Frankel, our former supervisor, is not here. She made enormous contributions. Linda Garner-Goldstein, Ken Gordon, a whole list of Jewish community leaders who have joined our government to make the reality of many into one. And today, the task you join today, Nate, is to join Bill and Robin and Christine and Chris and keep that motto alive here in Brighton. Out of the many voices and the many faces I see in this audience, Nate Salzman is the one to lead the next generation with the members of the town board. It's a motto we've made a reality. Nate, it's your responsibility to keep it forever.
Thank you, Rick, and I'll call Nate and Samantha.
Which hand?
Raise your right hand.
This is harder than the wedding vows.
I, Nathaniel Victor Salzman,
I, Nathaniel Victor Salzman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of a town council member of the town of Brighton
of a town council member of the town of Brighton
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities. No pressure, right? You know, when I was door knocking, I used to lead off, and Assemblymember Clark reminded me of this. I used to lead off by saying, you know, as a young candidate, and I used to do that until one person looked at me and went, not so young. But thank you for putting me in the young category again, Assemblymember Clark. Good afternoon, Brighton. I'm honored to be with you today. You know, my most commonly used joke, and I admit I overuse all of my good material, is that running for office in my hometown feels a little bit like an extended family reunion. I was able to reconnect with old classmates, teachers, neighbors, friends of my parents, and even friends of my grandparents. You know, earning the support and trust of my hometown and beginning the responsibility of working for you is all that more meaningful because of those deep connections. You know, one of the reasons I'm standing here today is because I've had the good fortune to work alongside great leaders and good people in government, and I've learned so much from them. And I see so many in the crowd today. Now, I'm a little nervous about listing them here because if I forget somebody, please. But County Executive Adam Bello, Senators Jeremy Cooney and Samra Brook, Assembly Members Damon Meeks and Sarah Clark, County Legislator Sue Hughes Smith, Judge Rick Dollinger, Supervisor Bill Maley, of course, and all of my colleagues on the Brighton Town Board. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to working with you all on behalf of our town. Of course, I wouldn't be here without the love and support of my family. And I think almost all of them are here today. That's this half of the room here. It's my parents, my brother, my grandparents, including my 90-year-old grandfather who drove in from Buffalo. 92. I knew I was going to get in trouble listing. I just, all of my in-laws, including the youngest members of the family, Albie and Ellie. Hey, Albie. This campaign was truly a team effort. I mean, my mom was stuffing envelopes for mailers until 3 a.m. on her birthday. And, you know, the rest of my family and Chris Werner can attest that's a true story. My brother and my dad were knocking doors with me every weekend. My in-laws were dropping literature faster than we could provide the materials. My campaign manager and closest friend, Jake Schwartz, for 31 years. You know, I took the advice from the TV show The West Wing, which I know the county executive and I both love. I asked my closest and much smarter friend to run the campaign. And Jake, you went above and beyond. And of course, Samantha, the love of my life, who is my rock. The 15 years it took to get a date with you were well worth the wait. I could never thank you all enough. I'm humbled and honored to stand before you today, a proud product of this community. Brighton isn't just the town that Samantha and I planted our roots. It's also the place where our story began, where Samantha helped me find my locker the first day of Brighton High School. And even this morning, Samantha was still helping me find things at the house. So some things don't change, right? I know I am among many former BHS students who can credit their success to the unparalleled teachers at Brighton. Teachers like Mr. Dan Wilson, who I believe is watching on YouTube right now. You know, Mr. Wilson was my American government teacher, and he was my football coach. And whether he was teaching the American Revolution or goal line defense, his passion was infectious. You know, Mr. Wilson made history come alive, sometimes even acting out a scene from a textbook rather than just reading it. And honestly, I wanted to be a part of that. It's the reason I chose to get my undergraduate degree in Washington, D.C., where I had the opportunity to intern at the Obama White House, serve on Capitol Hill, and launch my career in public service. Mr. Wilson, thank you for inspiring me. I continued to work here at home, where I served as Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Devon Meeks, where we worked together to expand food accessibility in the city of Rochester. In my current role, working in the Department of Human Services with County Executive Adam Bello, we aim to assist those most in need. This is work inspired by the values I learned here in Brighton. And you know, reflecting on the journey, I'm deeply grateful for the opportunities that this town has provided. And Brighton's success is not only due to the great leadership, but also the engaged citizens and the values that we all strive to uphold. Our residents remind me of a phrase once used by President Obama. He said, "Everywhere we look, there is work to be done." Over the course of this campaign, I met citizen volunteers performing a clean sweep of our community, organizing and staffing 2 farmers markets, attending town halls, and organizing neighborhood meetings. And our progress is obvious. You know, the award-winning Winter's Farmers Market, the brand new bike lane on Elmwood Avenue, the town hall renovations that will soon make our local government more accessible than ever. You know, when Supervisor Maley and I first sat for coffee about a year ago, we couldn't stop talking about Brighton. You talked about a 2-hour meeting. I mean, and you know, town government is where we can make these things happen. For me, town government is where we can directly solve problems for our neighbors. This ranges from road repair to leaf pickup, walking trails to affordable after-school activities. Brighton town government is here to help. Perhaps the most exciting projects we have to look forward to is our commitment to sustainability and accessibility, which go hand in hand. I believe that by working toward a more walkable and bikeable Brighton, we will have a more equitable and sustainable town. And these projects have been a lot more meaningful to me lately. This is the part where I won't choke up, Sam. As Samantha and I prepare to welcome our first child, we talk a lot about the kind of home we want to make for him or her. The kind of home we want to create for the future of Brighton. And I'm confident that the team of leaders that you have chosen, and with the continued engagement of all of our neighbors, our community is laying the groundwork that will ensure the success of the next generation of Brightonians. And I am grateful for the opportunity to join in that work. Thank you all so much for being here, and Happy New Year.
"12 years ago, Chris Warner was also sworn in to his first term on the Brighton Town Board. Since then, he's engaged with every one of our 4 town board committees. But more than that, Chris takes the lead. Chris is a proactive leader to take the lead on projects that have improved the quality of life in Brighton, like his traffic signal painting box. It may seem like a small thing, but when you drive around town and you see the boxes, the Dalmatians down here in the 12 Corners by the fire department, the sneakers over Lac de Ville and Westfall Road, those and more are thanks to the collaboration led by Chris Warner, but also working with the Brighton High School Art Department and the students in the art department. It's not the first time, of course, that Chris has worked with students in our community. For many years, Chris was a soccer coach, and I'm forever hearing people coming up and talking about, hey, you coached my child, or you coached me, and that means a lot. It's great to keep you working with us, and I'm very pleased. This is really special. Chris is being sworn in by Abraham Justice. Abraham, please come up.
I, Christopher Warner,
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a member of the Brighton Town Board according to the best of my ability. Hi, folks. You've heard from me before, so I've got a short speech. Now, this is not Abe's first appearance. This is his second appearance at 1 month old, right here, 12 years ago. And he insisted that day on having a speaking part as well. Now, Abraham is an honor student at the Martha Brown Middle School in Fairport, and I couldn't be prouder. Modeling community service for our young people is critical, and in Brighton, we know that. Now, it's a pleasure to perform community service so long as you choose something that you love. For me, that was supporting the special needs of my family. Youth sports, love of my profession, and love of this community. I want to thank their neighbors for their confidence in me to continue to serve this unique community. And I want to especially thank Barbara Maley for her help in this past campaign, and my wife Alyssa for supporting me in my community service all these years. Brighton is a special place, and you've heard it from Bill, you've heard it from Nate. Now, Clean Sweep this past spring, I went over to pick up what was very little trash at the litter at the Buckland Park. And so I was attracted to the sports fields where youth lacrosse was ongoing. And I just stood next to a young dad whose 8-year-old child or son was out playing lacrosse. And it just gave me a warm feeling to chat with him. And I came to realize as he talked about what we have here in Brighton, our parks, our trails, our diversity and equity initiatives, our climate smart initiatives, all of those things he took for granted. Things that did not exist when we came to Brighton in the late 80s. I mean, parks, they didn't exist here in Brighton. And that's the way it should be. We take those things for granted because that's what you expect of your community. I'm proud of what town government has accomplished these past 12 years under Bill's leadership and our town board. Next 4 years, let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you so much, Abraham, for coming back 12 years later and doing a great job. Finally, I'm pleased to introduce our new town justice, Vikram Singh Vilku. Vic has years of federal and state court experience as an attorney litigating both civil and criminal matters. Vic is a partner and lead trial attorney at the Rochester law firm of Rellin, Goldstein, and Crane, and previously served as an assistant district attorney. As most of you probably know, Vic is the first trial judge of Indian descent in upstate New York. But just as importantly, Vic will continue the long tradition of extraordinarily highly qualified and experienced Brighton town judges, exemplified by his predecessor, Judge Karen Morris, who will be swearing Judge Vilku in just a moment. But wait, there's more. I'm very pleased to invite our state senator, Senator Jeremy Cooney, to the podium for some remarks. Jeremy.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Delighted to be here with all of you today on what is just a moment where I'm bursting with pride, and we're going to talk about that right now. First, Bill, thank you for your public service and your ongoing commitment to the town of Brighton, and we're so thrilled of your re-election, as well as with Chris and Dan. Thank you also for being great partners in local government, and of course to my good friend Nate Salzman. You did it, man. You worked so hard, and you are truly, as Judge Dallinger said, ushering in a new generation of leadership to Brighton, and we couldn't be prouder. Congratulations, my friend, to you and Samantha. Vic asked me to say a couple of words, and then I asked Vic, I said, well, who else is going to be speaking? I said, well, Judge Morris is going to swear me in. And I said, Judge Morris, oh my gosh, I've known Judge Morris since I was a little boy at Monroe Community College, and I just think the world of Judge Morris. In fact, we had the opportunity to recognize her service at the state Senate level with a commendation for her many years of service to the town of Brighton. And I was trying to think, what could I add to the conversation? And the words that kept coming back to me was gratitude and pride. Gratitude and pride. And if you allow me just to turn back the clock a few years, I will show you why this is a moment for both of those words. 15 years ago, I was sitting on a plane here in New York, and I was flying to Florida. And all of a sudden, one of these huge, assuming air marshals is right in front of me. He says, can you please get up and follow me off the plane? You can get your bag out of the overhead compartment. So I take this giant backpack with me, and I'm going down the center aisle to the jetway. We get off the plane. He says, you know, a couple of people just don't feel comfortable flying with you. I said, well, okay, I'm pretty nervous. Well, what's going on? I said, well, you know, it's a couple of things. You get this large backpack. Do you mind if I go through the backpack? I said, okay, no problem. He opens it up, and all he finds are these giant legal textbooks, because I was in law school. And, you know, of course, the irony of the moment is not lost upon me. But what I want you to focus in on is the 25 seconds of my return walk down that center aisle back to my seat. People wouldn't look at me. They glance aside, they snicker. And for those moments, I never felt more un-American or unwelcomed in my life. And that was the reality for brown people post 9/11. I wasn't wearing a beard or wearing a turban, but that feeling never left me. But that feeling goes away when you have moments of pride and opportunity and history, when the town of Brighton and the people of this town elected the first Sikh judge ever in the history of New York State. That's Vic Vilu. Pride and gratitude. So I'm grateful, my friend, to you and to Abby and to the boys for your commitment to public service. But I'm also grateful to this community for electing someone to a very noble office that is going to be interacting with all of us and this community for many years, but for doing something more, for setting an example of change, for living the values of inclusion, for changing generations of young people, my children and yours, who are going to look at the top of the bench and see a face like Vic Vilu. And that is going to send a message that justice is inclusive, that justice is for all, and that everyone in this great country, in this great state, and in this great town will have the opportunity to serve should they see fit. So with that, I say Godspeed and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. A powerful story indeed, and one that I know is going to stick with me, and I'm sure is going to stick with all of the people who heard it today. Thank you, and thank you for your service. Judge Karen Morris, thank you for your service. We have had the your wisdom, but more importantly, the connection you have had with every single person that has come before you. Your wisdom, your understanding, your legal knowledge, yes, but there's so much more that goes into the position as judge. So I want to thank you. I invite you to come forward. I know you have some remarks before you will be swearing Judge Vilu in. Judge Karen Morris.
Happy New Year. As I am about to symbolically hand over the gavel to Judge Vilu, please allow me first to extend a few thank yous. First, I want to thank the voters of Brighton for electing me town judge 8 times. I'm very honored to have served for 29 years. Please know that I always strived to give you my best. Thank you to Town Supervisor Maley and town board members for always supporting the court's pursuits and operations. Since this is the moment where the spotlight is on Brighton Town Court, please let me thank and introduce our top-notch court staff. Please meet the incredibly talented court clerks, all of whom are here. Lisa Pavlovich, Christine Sanborn, Betty Frias, and Leon Lynch. Folks, take a stand up. They ensure the court operates efficiently, all constituents are addressed with great respect, and money received for fines is handled properly. Judge Vilu is lucky to have a superior staff to assist him in his new duties. Our court officers do a great job greeting litigants and soothing their anxieties about the court. These officers are instrumental in maintaining order in the courtroom and in the waiting areas. They look forward to serving Judge Vilcu. Here's a shout out to Brighton Police Chief Cataldi, his predecessors with whom I worked, the police officers who keep our town safe, and the department's entire staff. Policing in today's world is no easy feat. They do it exceptionally well. I want to recall my dear friend and mentor, Michael Miller, a Brighton Town Councilman, and later a family court judge. He swore me in as judge and said these words which have influenced me greatly. I hope all of the officials sworn in today will take this to heart. These are Judge Miller's words. The sign of a good politician is not whether you get reelected, but rather whether you stay true to your values and principles. One more thank you of great significance. My co-judge of 15 years, Judge John Falk. He is talented, knowledgeable, and very fair. He has been a great partner, concerned with delivering to Brighton and everyone who has reason to be in the court a tribunal that treats everyone with respect. He ensures litigants are heard and their arguments duly considered. He serves Brighton exceptionally well. Before him, the town of Brighton and I enjoyed my earlier co-judges, James Morris, Richard Dollinger, and Robert O'Connor, all of whom are here today and graced Brighton with exceptional judicial services. Today, we add a new name to those who will have served as Brighton in the capacity of town judge. We welcome Judge Vic Ram, also known as Vic Vilcu. When the campaign for town judge started, he was an unknown. However, he campaigned hard and wowed this town. Let me say to the voters of Brighton, you had a hard choice. There were 3 very qualified candidates seeking your vote. I can now confirm that your trust in Judge Vilcu was well placed. I have worked closely with him over the last few months, and I am confident he will serve Brighton with distinction. He brings a background of rich experiences that will serve him well and inform his judicial decisions. As was stated, he worked at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, where he prosecuted crimes. His extensive trial experience includes armed robbery, sexual abuse, home invasions, domestic violence, elder abuse, and driving while intoxicated. Prison was not always the goal he sought. Instead, he recognizes the important role of specialty courts, including drug court and mental health court, where focused attention in addressing to eliminating or moderating the underlying causes of crime. Most recently, he practices law as a partner in the venerable Rochester law firm of Relin, Goldstein, and Crane. There, he continues to perfect his impressive trial skills. The knowledge and experience gleaned from these substantive and varied experiences assures that he will begin his tenure as judge at full speed, working effectively from the very start. He will be expected to do justice, which is critical to a fair and trusted court and system of governance. Indeed, in a courtroom, justice is everything. Justice should be blind. In the wrong hands, however, justice is not blind. In this country, sadly, we have had unproud periods of history where justice was biased, anti-Black, anti-virtually every minority, and anti-anyone who did not submit to the norms of the time. In recent weeks in Rochester and elsewhere, with the help of the Innocence Project, we have seen yet again long surviving convictions overturned. Defendants have been freed from decades in prison due to recent determinations that they were wrongly found guilty long, long ago. These convictions were often based on biases, stereotypes, and/or flimsy evidence too easily believed because of an assumption about some aspect of a person's ethnicity. What a triumph that the truth eventually won out. What a travesty that those exonerated have lost the prime of their lives. Please don't overlook that every one of you has the power to stop injustice. Most of you will be called upon to serve as a juror at least once in your life. For conviction in criminal court, the jury must be unanimous. One holdout prevents a guilty verdict. If you see a practice or a procedure that leads you to believe an innocent person is being railroaded, vote against conviction. Even if all the other jurors are in agreement against you, without your vote, they cannot send a person to prison. But you will be called upon as a juror very few times in your life. Our new judge will be on the bench with great regularity. We will be reliant on him to be our eyes and our ears in court, to recognize and weed out vestiges of discrimination, prejudices, and attributions of misplaced, stereotyped characteristics. Judge Vilu is himself a minority, a fact strongly promoted during his campaign. As such, he is sensitive to these issues. Here lies the beauty and importance of diversity and inclusion. Our new judge will insist on effectuating that majestic constitutional right that all men and all women are entitled to equal treatment under the law, without favor and without disfavor. Voters of Brighton take a bow for making a great choice for judge. The town is fortunate to be welcoming Judge Vikram Vilu. And now we begin the process of making him official. Our first order of business, Judge Vilu will don his judicial robes for the very first time. This is an awesome, never-to-be-forgotten moment in the life of every judge. How lucky are we that we all get to share this important event. Before I call him forward, you might be wondering, what do the judicial robes represent? There are different views on this, and all are enlightening. They include the following. The robes are a reminder to jurists of the weight of the responsibility they undertake. Some say the robes stand for mercy, justice, and impartiality. My favorite, the robes are a reminder that judges cannot mete out their own brand of justice. Rather, the robe symbolizes the law adopted by legislators who have the imprimatur of having received a majority of our votes cast in their election. It is that law that we all have an indirect input on developing, that judges must administer. And now I ask to come forward Judge Vilu, and I also invite at this time his father, Sarabjit Vilu, his mother, Ravinder Vilu, his wife, Abby, and sons, Sammy and Sebi, short for Sebastian. And now, once they come forward, I will get the robes and we will place them on our new judge. And here are the robes. And now I will swear him in, my great honor. If you'll raise your right hand and put your left hand on a Sikh prayer book. I, Vikram Singh Vilku,
I, Vikram Singh Vilku,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
Town Justice of the Town of Brighton
Town Justice of the Town of Brighton
according to my best abilities.
according to my best abilities.
Congratulations, folks. Hooray!
Wow. It's been quite a year. You know, I had a little opening joke, but I'm looking at this array of people. Everyone I've basically ever met in my life is here. And I have to think of my father. My father grew up So, you know, my father grew up the son of a carpenter in India and one of 10 children. And he dreamed about coming to America. He would sneak into movie theaters in Ethiopia, where he grew up, and he would hop from screen to screen, which is a crime, Dad. That's called theft of services. You can't do that. And he would watch John Wayne movies, and he would dream about coming to America. And when he came to America, people couldn't even pronounce his name in the late 70s. And what a year it's been for us. My father coming to this country where no one knew him, no one probably even noticed him, sees his last name in people's front yards now. He's sitting with 2 state senators, a county executive, a state assembly person, countless county legislators. You know, say what you want about this country, but that is remarkable. That is absolutely remarkable. So thank you so much for all these kind words from people that I admire so much. I was mentioning to Judge Morris that I've never had the opportunity to give a speech where I wasn't trying to convince someone of something. that is by training what I do for a living. But today, this is a very different task. Today is about honoring the past and celebrating what has been accomplished. It's about what we as a community can achieve when we come together for each other. I'd like to start out with some thank yous. Now, in the beginning, there were just 2 guys who believed in me. And I was paying one of them, so maybe just one guy who really believed in me. Of course, I have to thank my campaign manager, Matt Whitten, who organized a brilliant campaign, as has been mentioned. And he also managed me with a great deal of grace and humor. So thank you, Matt. Now, of course, the other person with me right from the beginning was a person that many people in this room know, Sanjay Hiranandani. What can I say about my dear friend, Sanjay? Sanjay is like the older brother I always wanted. I will never forget the feeling after the election, hugging Sanjay in his kitchen and crying on each other's shoulders, saying that we did it. That'll be a core memory for me for the rest of my life, Sanjay. Sanjay has taught me that the beauty of friendship isn't what someone gives you or does for you. It's just somebody that you admire who believes in you over and over again. And that's the greatest gift that Sanjay gave to me. He's a man that I admire, and he believed in me over and over again. Thank you, Sanjay. Senator Cooney, what a speech. I never thought a person named Vikram Singh Vilku would get elected to anything, much less town justice. But then I saw a face like yours. I saw a face that looked like mine. And it inspired me to look for ways to serve my community. And that's the goal. Your support throughout my campaign was invaluable. Your friendship has meant even more. Judge Dollinger, I always love meeting with Rick Dollinger. He always has this little mischievous sparkle in the back of his eye. Everyone who knows Judge Dollinger knows what I'm talking about. And he would tell me time and time again, Vic, you can do this. And he said it over and over again, and I started to believe him because it came from you. Thank you, Judge. I tried to honor your support with my hard work. I also must thank the town of Brighton. I was talking to some people outside as I was guiding traffic. I said I felt like this was a wedding or something, and it is in many respects. It's a wedding between myself and the town. My favorite part of campaigning was going door to door in this community. We hugged each other. It's no surprise, I cried a lot at people's doors. And we talked about why we all chose to live in this community above all others. You showed me beautiful mezuzahs on your front door. You gave me lozenges when my throat was sore. And if I was lucky, it was an Indian household, I got chai and tea and snacks inside, and I sat down. The fact is, you just made it easy to do this. And I never knew what the outcome was going to be, but I got to meet great people. And at the end of the day, that was good enough for me. You know, I rarely mentioned the historic nature of my election when I went door to door, despite my campaign manager's insistence. But this town should be proud. The first Sikh judge wasn't elected in Brooklyn or Queens or New York City. The first Sikh judge wasn't elected in Buffalo or Syracuse. The first Sikh judge in the history of the state of New York was elected right here in Brighton, New York. And I'm so proud to serve the people who saw value in my experience and in my ability. And I'm so grateful to you all. I also want to thank a couple of people. This is my Oscar speech moment, so if I do forget somebody, please forgive me. Sue Hughes Smith, the little lady with the spine of steel. Judge John DeMarco. Judge DeMarco sat me down in his office. He said, kid, take a seat. Here's a notepad and a pen. Write down everything I'm going to say. This is how you win an election. Half an hour later, my head was spinning. I came back to my partner, Joe. I said, Joe, I got a plan. And I did it. Thank you, Judge. Judge Morris, thank you for your decades of service to this community. Thank you for the warmth you have shown my family in welcoming to the court. It will be a memory for me for the rest of my life. Thank you. I also want to thank my business partners at Rowland Goldstein & Crane, including Joe Scher, I see here, and of course, Howard Crane, who is enjoying himself in Florida, as he should. Howard always challenged me to be a better version of myself. And Joe taught me the lesson of the value of showing up every single day in hard work. Thank you, gentlemen. To my friends, Michael Pattison, Teo Seguenza, the Bauscher family, Randy Proco, Debbie Shaw, Clayton Jones, Legislator-elect Frank Chardy, Jet Mehta, and Joe Comfort. We did this together, buddy. Now, last but not least, it's my dear wife, Abby. Abby is the reason I ran for office. One night she asked me, Vic, what's your dream? And I sheepishly said, I don't know, maybe be a judge or something? And she asked me the question, well, what are you doing to make that happen? And I didn't have a very good answer for her. And it was a little embarrassing. My hard work in this campaign and my relentlessness day after day, night after night, was a tribute to my wife. She supports me in every dream, inspires me the best I can be, and is my best friend. As I told my father-in-law recently, as soon as I met Abby, things just started working out. So please thank me and please join me in thanking those who have helped me come this far. So this is the hard part. Let's see if we can get through it. You know, Judge Dollinger, you stole my line, e pluribus unum. I mean, it's right there sitting there, right? You know, I look upon this room and I see the beauty of Brighton. I see the beauty of this country. Some of our families came on the Mayflower, started a farm in Riga. Others came from Europe as World War II raged. Some fled Jim Crow South seeking a chance at freedom. While many of my friends could trace their families' American stories of tragedy and triumph, discrimination and loss, to these long departed ancestors, black and white photos on the wall, my family couldn't do that. My heroes were not memories. They were not faded pictures on the wall. They were the people that made me eggs in the morning on their way to work, told me these magical bedtime stories of the beautiful gardens in the land of 5 rivers. They were the people that wiped away my tears. They were the ones that taught me the prayers of my grandfathers. They are the ones that made me sure I was proud of my people and the face I saw in the mirror each day. They gave me the confidence to be myself. They were not faded pictures on the wall. They were my parents. So my parents taught me 2 key lessons that form the core of who I am and what I want to be as a judge. Everyone has value. My mother taught me that every interaction counts as an opportunity to either raise that person's dignity or not. As my mother would say it, never forget that the person you are speaking to is someone's son or daughter, and they want the best for their child, just like I do for you. Judge Morris said it to me in a judicial context. She said, you won't remember every person that comes before you, but they will forever remember your face, and they will remember, most of all, how you made them feel. Everyone has value and deserves respect, and that is how everyone will be treated in my court. Integrity. My father taught me all I need to know about integrity, and Chairman Cooney touched upon it a little bit. Many of us remember September 11th. And the days following September 11th, as Jeremy noted, were equally traumatic for many people in this room. Following September 11th, there was a surge in hate crimes against the Sikh community. And, you know, my father, who held fast to his traditions, we were scared for him. We thought about every time he may fill up gas at a gas station, what would happen? Or every time he got a cup of coffee, what would happen to him? And my dad is a patriot. He saw those John Wayne movies, remember? He already had the American flag on his car, but we put more American flags on his car. Lapel pins. And I asked my father, I said, Dad, have you considered getting a gun to protect yourself? And I'll never forget what my father told me. He said, Vikram, I was not put on this planet to take a life. My father held fast to his core beliefs in the face of incredible danger. He could have cut his hair. He could have put his turban away. No one would have questioned him. He could have changed who he was to protect himself. He never did. He never deviated from the man his father raised him to be. And I've always been so proud of him for that. That is integrity, doing the right thing even when it is hard. That is the judge I aspire to be, to do the right thing even when it's hard. So I'd like to take this moment to honor my mother and father. Mom, Dad, come on up. My father said that his proudest moment in life was when his father, a carpenter, took him door to door in their village. And he knocked on every door, and with his arm around him said, "My son's going to America to be a doctor." Well, my proudest moment is today, honoring you in front of these people. So as is our tradition, I will place around your necks our sign of honor for service to your people and to our family, for showing me what it is to be a Singh. I am a judge because of the lessons and sacrifices you made for me, and I thank you for being here. Let's give a round of applause for my parents. So, the greatest gift my parents gave me was demonstrating this principle in our culture that we call Charity Kala. Now, Charity Kala is a difficult phrase to describe, but I've heard it translated as ever-rising spirits. It's a state of being joyful inside the struggle. It's the energy that keeps us going despite the hardships. It's grit, but with joy. Again, maybe the best reference, again, is 9/11. We remember those days, but we also remember the moments after where we saw American flags all over this country. We had a hole in our hearts, but we believed in each other. We believed what we could accomplish together, and we moved forward. That was Charity Kala. I saw it again when I attended a service at TBK up the road, as I sat next to Nate. And I heard my friend Meredith speak. And I looked around me and I saw I was surrounded by people in pain, immense pain. But through each other and for each other, they were determined to overcome. That spirit, that feeling, is Charity Kala. It was the Charity Kala of two immigrants that motivated me to carry on when knocked down, to push forward when I was told to wait my turn, to enter rooms when nobody looked like me. Because I knew there was a time when it was hard for my parents to enter those rooms. And they did it anyways, for me. So as I leave you today, I wish you all many things for the new year. I wish you all peace. I wish you all prosperity. But above all else, I wish you stay in Charity Kala and whatever challenge awaits you this year. Together, Brighton leads the way. Thank you.
That was a powerful and moving American story, and I'm grateful to hear it. I'm grateful to you, Judge Vilu, to your parents, and to everybody that came to witness this extraordinary ceremony. And by the way, those of you that have sat through this long, now you understand why we need a new HVAC system in this building. There's a lot of people, again, to thank. I know someone mentioned law enforcement. We have not only our police here, but representatives from the fire department and Brighton Volunteer Ambulance. Thank you for keeping us all safe morning, noon, and night. Thank you again to our ASL interpreters, and a special thanks to my assistant, Bridget Monroe. We've heard a few wedding analogies today, and it's true. Putting all the people, we knew we had a lot of people. We had the bride's side and the groom's side. But most importantly, we had a lot of people that wanted to be here and be a part of this ceremony. And through all of the hard work Bridget put in to make it happen, I am really grateful. And I'm particularly grateful because tomorrow, Bridget Monroe herself will be sworn in as the new city council member of the Rochester City Council, representing the Northwest District of Rochester. She's back in the office monitoring the video and everything, but thank you for all of that. Congratulations. And yes, by the way, the good news is she's keeping her day job. She will be continuing to work here. We're just about finished. We will have food and refreshments afterwards, thanks to one of Brighton's great businesses and great business owners, Ramneesh Prabhakar, Amaya Indian Cuisine. Thank you, Ramneesh. Located in Tops Plaza. I would also note that we will be back in this room tomorrow at noon for the town board's organizational meeting. I'll ask everyone again to please rise. Oh, do you have a proclamation? And my apologies. Sibu is here from Governor Hochul's office, but I know you will be delivering a proclamation. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. See? Go to Dan. Color guard, please retire the colors. Congratulations again to my colleagues. You may be seated, or you may join us all for our refreshments. Thank you so much for being here.